Well, welcome to the Conscious Business Show, where we connect the heart, the mind to the wallet. I'm here with my co-host, Will Krause, who actually is a sustainability expert in looking at environmental social governance issues on the investment landscape, and is also a CFA, so welcome.
Thank you, Darby. Thanks for having me along.
We're excited to be here. We're at the Sustainable Business Network Conference at Northeastern, and we're here with our first guest, which is Avram Baskin. He's our founder of Lexington Local First.
I think it's Avram.
Avram, my apologies, Avram. And it's wonderful to have you here with us today. You're here for the conference, and we're glad that you could join us here on the show. Tell us a little bit about the journey that you've taken to get here, just your personal journey, and where you're looking at launching and have launched Lexington Local First, and how that's changing the community, its purpose, and what you're hoping to gain from that.
So, my personal journey, I guess, towards this point started in 1997 when I started dating my wife. She's the co-owner of a business in our town, Signature Stationers in our town. Mm-hmm. She owns it with her brother. And so that's about how long I've been hearing about all the problems and trials and tribulations that local business owners are facing.
I see.
Back then, Amazon wasn't so big and online retail wasn't so big, but even back then, they were feeling the pinch. Mm-hmm. And it's just gotten worse over the years. So one of the things I noticed was how many banks and real estate offices there were in our town center. And for a town center, it's actually pretty small. But there are 12 banks, and at that time there were 8 real estate offices. Now there's 9 real estate offices.
Oh, geez, okay.
And there's also quite a few nail salons in the town center now. Mm-hmm. And I found that people other people I talked to didn't like that mix. They would agree that it was an unhealthy mix of retail and locally owned restaurants, or any restaurants for that matter, but they didn't quite know what to do about it. And I think what finally pushed me over the edge to really become more active was when they opened the 9th real estate office. And this was after the town had actually passed some ordinances to make it really, really hard for banks and real estate offices to get into the center.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I had been volunteering with there is a Lexington Retailers Association that I've been helping out with over the last few years. But I really felt like the town really needed something to kind of galvanize the residents who were concerned about this, but weren't doing anything or didn't know what to do about it.
So the whole downtown structure was changing, but not in a way that was going to really engage the community, right?
And one of the differences is, so sometimes when you hear stories like this, an organization like a Local First organization will start because the downtown area was depressed.
Right.
And there were lots of empty storefronts. But so we don't quite have that problem. It's just we don't have a good mix of retail and restaurants.
Right.
So that's what got me to where I am right now.
That's excellent. So give us your vision. Give us the purpose of you've mentioned kind of changing the construct of the local downtown, but what is your vision? What would you like to see?
So the vision for the organization is really to have a more healthy mix of retail and restaurants, and I should also point out that the downtown is the initial focus, the central business district, but we're really interested in helping all of the locally owned business owners in town. It's just the downtown or the central business district is kind of the natural focus to start out, because that's the part of town that's worse off, we think.
Right.
And so the vision is just to have a more healthy mix of independent, locally owned businesses. So we're actually not anti-chain. And at one time in Lexington Center, in recent memory, there was a Gap and there was Borders. But those both went out. I think Borders because Borders filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the Gap because the Gap really changed their business model and they weren't really going to be involved in town centers anymore. So, but the retailers did not mind those because they brought feet into the center.
Right.
And so, but now with the banks and the real estate offices and the nail salons, we're finding that people aren't really stopping to shop in the center. And part of the reason is because there's just not a lot of selection. People don't really notice until someone tells them that there's 12 banks and 9 real estate offices and 20 nail salons.
Yeah.
Somebody had to tell me.
Right.
So so somebody posted a message on the Lexington list, which is a Yahoo group for the whole town, about she walked by and she noticed it was going to be a nail salon and how too bad that was. And then but somebody responded to that with a message from their, I think, 10-year-old daughter, where the daughter had said, "Wouldn't it be great if we had like a bowling alley?"
Oh,
and
interesting.
and this kind of restaurant and that kind of store.
Right.
But the key thing was that person's daughter said the town center is boring.
Yeah.
And it is boring. It's not a hop and spot. And there are other town centers nearby in adjacent towns with similar demographics to Lexington that could
That
be
are
characterized.
thriving.
That are thriving.
Yeah.
So everything we do has to revolve around somehow helping the locally owned businesses. So in that case, it's going to bring foot traffic into the center.
Right.
And we're going to, encourage people to shop at other places besides at the pop-up.
Yeah, exactly.